ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Intellectual Saviors. This is the show where we crumble your foundations, make you think for the first time in your life, and then shit it all away with extreme vulgarity. That's right. I'm Eric. We have Boggs, Michael, our guests, Aubrey and Dusty. Say hello again.
Hi.
And then running the board, we have Kristen, who wants me to say absolutely jack shit about her. So we're just going to keep on going right on. This time, we are going to go into Scientology. This show is going to be so fucking long, but so hilarious, because this stuff is ridiculous. I think we first want to go into the creator of Scientology, a gentleman by the name of Lafayette Ronald Hubbard, or L. Ron Hubbard, as most people know. He was born in 1911, died in 1986. He was a science fiction writer, for those that do not know that. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about makes complete sense when you take that into account. Most of the stuff and teachings is based off of a book that he wrote called Dianetics, or the Modern Science of Mental Health, because this guy apparently was a doctor. We're going to go into a lot of stuff about him, including some lies that he created and fabricated about himself. And of course, you know, Scientologists are going to say that this we're persecuting him and we're making up lies and stories to try and belittle their... do they want to be called a religion? Do they themselves want to be called a religion? I don't even know, because I know that they want to like parallel with your religion so they can suck you in and steal all your money.
They sure do.
They want to be tax exempt like a religion as well.
So they do want to be called a religion?
They just want the charitable tax exemption.
They want all the benefits, but they don't want to be called. Because then I think at that point they'd be called a cult.
Yeah, that's what everybody wants. I've been talking about that this whole time I've been on the show. Is like, man, it would be great to be like tax exempt in a band and like get your own following just established immediately.
Everybody
God,
wants to get in the band.
Right?
It's just like South Park, dude. I'm telling you.
Oh, man. So this guy is just quite a piece of work. Let's see. Stuff that I have on him is that he claimed that he has a medical license, or that he was a medical doctor. He also claimed that he was a nuclear physicist.
Nuclear.
And I'm not even going to acknowledge that, so fuck off.
Who are you, George W. Bush?
Yes, I am. I'm going to make up my own damn words. Let's see, what else did he do? He claimed that he was a military hero, when I think he actually tried to get out of it. And he was riddled with financial problems. And he was actually quoted at a science fiction convention in 1948 saying, "Writing for a penny a word is ridiculous. If a man really wants to make millions of dollars, the best way would be to start his own religion." Kind of curious how he started his own religion. Following his own advice? And he didn't bother to think that that quote would come back up and haunt him at some point. Well, I guess it hasn't, because Scientology has kind of gone off. So he was dead on with that shit.
So you're wrong, is what you're saying.
Yes, I'm completely fucking wrong.
That's
Although I'm completely right, because it's full of shit, and most people should see past all this crap, but they don't, because people believe in wacky stuff all the time. So how is this any different from a virgin birth, dead people coming back to life, walking on water, and all that other kooky crap?
Because he made millions and you didn't.
Well, you're also insinuating that Jesus was a real person, which we don't know. So,
ouch.
Yeah, you kind of have to be like real to make money. So
that's not true. Elvis is dead. He's not real anymore.
Yeah, but somebody's getting that money.
His estate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a breathing, living person is getting the money, is what I'm saying.
but he is the one that's making the money.
Oh my God! Shut the fuck up. Let's
be really
capitalizing on Jesus still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to start it from his background, like you said. You know, he was born in Nebraska and stuff, and I guess early on he promoted the fact that, you know, his grandfather was a very wealthy rancher, and that's where he kind of got his affluence and stuff. And while he was living with his grandfather on the large cattle ranch, that he'd become a blood brother with the Blackfeet tribe of
I
Native American
forgot about
tribe.
that.
And this is like one of the first things that he put out that was kind of bullshit and stuff. And then they come back and they basically said, well, first of all, his grandfather wasn't, a big time rich rancher. He was a veterinarian.
Yeah.
And the actual Blackfeet Reservation was hundreds of miles from the place where he lived, and the tribe didn't even practice the blood brotherhood ritual, I guess, anymore.
Yeah.
At that point, I mean, it was so far back.
Line number one.
So he came in with that, and then he also made a big deal about how world travel, what a world traveler was, and how he had spent a lot of time in China and Japan and a lot of the Asian countries studying under Buddhist lamas.
Going where? Bangkok?
Yeah. I'm sure that's the first place I'd go over there. But he said he learned a lot of his information stuff that he used for Scientology from Buddhist lamas and meeting Chinese magicians. That automatically is funny to me. I don't know why.
It's the opium that he was talking about.
Yeah.
Probably. And then, but it says, he was able to make these travels because of his wealthy grandfather, but that's not really what happened. He made the travels there when he was small, when he was with his mother and stuff. They were traveling from the United States to Guam. I guess evidently his father was in the military, and because of being stationed over there or something, that's how he ended up spending time. But it said that he only went actually over there twice. Once, like I said, through Guam in 27, where he spent about 6 weeks there. And it said that this is what he actually wrote. Like, after he wrote all this great stuff about how he learned so much from their culture, he wrote later on that his impressions of China, or of the, I love this, the places he visited were disdained with poverty, and the inhabitants of Japan and China, whom he described as gooks and lazy and ignorant.
Wow.
Said his second visit was a family holiday where he took with his parents to China through the Philippines in 28, and he characterized the sites of Beijing as rubberneck stations for tourists, and described the places of the palaces of the Forbidden City as very trashy looking and not worth mentioning. It said he liked the Great Wall. He's extremely impressed with that, but concluded of China, they smell of all the baths they didn't take. The trouble with China is there are too many chinks here.
Oh my God.
So he was very
Holy
observant.
Obviously very observant.
So he was a great writer.
The problem with China is there's too many chinks here.
That's not Boggs repeating me. He's just making a declarative statement.
God almighty.
What? That's just fact. Come on,
he
guys.
He also, because like Eric brought up, he decided he was a nuclear physicist. He
decided.
He attended. Yeah, I'd emphasize that. He attended George Washington University studying civil engineering, and he claimed to have got his graduate degree and also studied nuclear physics there, because it wasn't like a degree you could get. But he said he was one of the first people to take courses in it. Which is the truth. I mean, he
failed miserably.
Yeah, he received extremely poor grades. He was put on probation, and eventually he dropped out. So he never even actually received his degree in his nuclear physics that he said. And so that was part of the thing. He was talking about setting out. He wanted to find the nuclear physics. He'd find the knowledge for it and of the universe that he found lacking in the Asian philosophies that he had learned. So that's kind of, later on we'll get into like how he formed the Sea Org and some of the stuff he did, where they basically would travel around and stuff. It's basically to obtain information.
Yeah.
Another thing that he claimed he did was he traveled to Puerto Rico on what the Church of Scientology called the Puerto Rican Mineralogical Expedition, to make the first complete mineral survey of Puerto Rico. And then, of course, it came out, he wrote about that and claimed that he was the one that discovered and put together this, mining adventure and everything. And it came out later he didn't do it. That he went down there, and he wrote this about it, that while harboring the thought of the conquistadors that might have left some gold behind, I determined to find it gold prospected in the wake of conquistadors on the hunting grounds of the pirates and islands in which still reek of Columbus is romantic, and I do not begrudge the sweat which splashed in the muddy rivers or the bits of khaki which had probably blown away from the brushes long ago. After half a year or more of intensive search, my wearing palms then wielding a sample pack after assailing a few hundred sacks of ore, I came back a failure. So they made it out to be like he went on this big prospecting tour and discovered, you know, all this stuff. And then he even comes back and wrote himself saying, no, I failed at it. And so it's like everything. He even contradicts himself a lot of times because he'll say he did something.
Most liars do.
And then, you know, in Church of Scientology, it's you know, the word, like he did no wrong. And then even in his own writings, there would be come back where he said, oh, you know, well, maybe it didn't do this or didn't do that. And, you know, I think another thing was like the war history and stuff. I think he had brought up, or I guess, you know, he was a leader of a couple different battleships when he was in the Navy and stuff. And both times he was relieved of his duty because of his lack of leadership abilities. And, you know, and he, I think one of the things he claimed was that he had a lot of, he had different wounds and stuff. He had an ulcer, some kind of an injury with his eyes or something, his optic nerves and all this shit, and that's what kind of caused him to, you know, have to get out of the military. And this was after he had already started. He had wrote Dianetics, which Dianetics says that, you know, it has a cure for the ailments. Like if you actually
you can cure yourself.
Yeah, if
essentially.
you actually follow Dianetics, you know, you can find these cures for yourself. So it's like all the fucking issues he had throughout his whole life. If he would have followed his own religion,
he would have been healed.
He wouldn't have had them. So. He was fucking up.
Yeah, I kind of find it ironic that I've heard Christians use like the contradictions that he has in his quotes and everything to diminish Scientology in their eyes, and it's you present the same argument in the Bible where it contradicts itself, but that's okay. That's okay. He contradicts himself in Scientology. Oh yeah, that's bad, but in the Bible, no. It just means something different. You're interpreting it wrong.
The nice thing with the Bible, though, is it was written so long ago, they can just blame it on, like, translation somewhere along the way. Oh, well, you know, it's been translated about 16 times. It really, you know.
That's what
I want to put my beliefs in.
Right? Yeah, something that's been translated thousands of times, and
that's
nobody really knows exactly what was said.
That's why we had the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, exactly. Joseph Smith, he cured it all for us right there.
It was
peace of mind, so you can sleep at night, you know?
Had been manipulated. He had to get the correct word of God down.
Right. So Dianetics was kind of the beginning of it all. And like I said, he had the quote where if you want to get rich, you need to start your own religion.
That's so classic.
Yeah. And make no mistake, Scientology is all about making money. Straight up. Just looking at it from the outside, you can tell right out of the gate, because they kind of huddle up and collude themselves with religion, any religion, in order to kind of get anybody into the group and organization, because they say that they don't have any set dogma that they impose on members, and that their goal is to help rid them of spiritual disabilities. We'll get into that a little bit later, but first I want to go over it's just a little document. It's called The Way to Happiness, because that doesn't sound like snake oil to anybody, right? And it composes of 21 precepts that are supposed to help guide your life. And there's like tons of testimonials of them taking this book over into third world countries that are having huge crime problems, and they give it to their inmates, and all of a sudden crime rate drops out of nowhere. It's because of this magical book. But it's just a guise to try and sneak Scientology into it, and try and for people who think that it's crazy to go and see and read this and realize that, hey, they don't have such bad ideas. And then once you get into it, then you start learning the real crazy shit. But the 21 precepts are, number 1, take care of yourself. Number 2, be temperate. Number 3, don't be promiscuous, which I completely disagree with. Number 4, love and help children. Now, what kind of love are they talking about exactly? 5, honor and help your parents. I disagree with that. If your parents are horrible people, why do you want to honor them? 6, set a good example. 7, seek to live with the truth. Number 8, do not murder. I kind of agree with that one. Number 9, do not do anything illegal. Now that one is very, very vague because there are some things that are illegal that I think should be legal. And on top of that, what if you're living in an oppressive state like North Korea?
I don't think anybody can
North
get through
Korea
a day
can hardly
and not
take
do
a
anything
shit
illegal.
without it being illegal.
You can't do anything in a day here and not do something
I know,
not
it's-
illegal. Nobody can. It's impossible.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's riddled with all kinds of stuff. Number 10, support a government designed and run for all the people. I'm not too sure about that one. Number 11, do not harm a person of goodwill. So apparently you can just beat up a bad person. It's no big deal. Number 12, safeguard and improve your environment. What about the giant churches that they use and cut down trees? 13, do not steal. 14, be worthy of trust. 15, fulfill your obligations. 16, be industrious. 17, be competent, which I can guarantee you most Scientologists are not. 18, respect the religions and belief of others. Aha! There we go. Number 19, try not to do things to others that you would not like them to do to you.
The
That's a
golden
really
rule,
long
baby.
one. And then number 20, which is kind of the same thing as 19, but it's just written a little bit differently. Try to treat others as you want them to treat you.
That's the same exact
Yeah,
shit.
I know.
I
I know. Trust me, there's a lot. And number 21, flourish and prosper.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of those that
So
are
I mean,
similar.
there's definitely there's some good stuff in there. Don't murder. I agree with that. I don't want to murder anybody. Don't steal. I agree with that. Don't steal from other people. But now here's the thing. It says take care of yourself. Let's say you lost your job. You can't find another job. You're out of money. You have to feed your family. And it even says love and help your children. You have to steal to get food. What the hell are you going to do?
Is it listed in priority? 'Cause
I mean,
then
I
it's
understand
really
that you're not
simple.
being industrious, you're not flourishing and prospering, but you lost your job and you can't find another job. What the hell are you going to do?
That's
What do you-
pretty easy. Actually, you vote for Obama, and then he'll give you food stamps.
Right?
and
Obama's
welfare.
going to cure everything.
Well, if you don't have to do you don't have to do anything right with bad people. Just steal from somebody that's bad.
Okay.
You can
damn
reconcile
it.
it that way.
I didn't even think of that. You beat up the bad people and take from them. It's okay.
I don't know if that was
Bum
in there.
fights, they started that. That's totally cool because they're bums, so it's all right. It's all right to pay them $100 and exploit them.
Oh, man. It's in the writing. There you go. That's perfect. Man, these guys thought of everything.
Yep.
This actually really is a good thing. I might start being a Scientologist. I don't know.
There's a lot of loopholes. I kind of like it.
But, I mean, you can see how they take things that are already in most religions and just kind of take it into the guise of their own stuff. And, I mean, they add on a little bit of stuff. Like, I don't know any religion that talks about safeguarding and improving your environment. Because most of them, I mean, let's face it, they were written back then when they didn't give a shit about the environment.
Unlike this one.
Yeah,
It was written
unlike
60
today
years
where we
ago.
really care about it. But this is something that I'll probably go on a little bit of tangent. I don't want to, but that's a problem that I have when it comes to safeguarding your environment and all that stuff. Is that these old texts and books that were written a long time ago, they weren't concerned about it because they didn't understand it, and now Christians and everybody else are using those as a way to pretty much not give a shit about what they're doing to the environment. Driving their big ass SUVs that they don't use for anything, or their giant trucks that they don't haul anything with. Or, I mean, there's countless other things that we do on a daily basis that absolutely destroy our environment, and we use our religion as an okay, pretty much, because what happens here doesn't fucking matter. The only thing that matters is what's going to happen in heaven. So fuck it all here. I've actually had somebody tell me verbatim they did not give a shit what happened to their kids after they die, because they'll be in heaven.
Yep. God gave us the earth to pillage and plunder. I think it says that in the Bible, doesn't it?
It's
exactly like that.
It's ridiculous.
Well,
And I mean, I understand, back then there was scarcity and there's a lot of hardships and stuff like that. But, I mean, yeah, they're third world countries and they had those problems. But here in America, I mean, we really I mean, yeah, we have poor people. We definitely have a lot of issues when it comes to that. But let's face it, most people that we know don't have those problems, and they just don't give a shit anyway and say fuck it all. You know, I know Christians that don't help out people as much as other people that are non-religious help out people. But you're a Christian, so you must be a good person. So it's okay to be a bastard to everybody. Anyway, off that tangent. So, when you read these 21 precepts and you go into the Church of Scientology and you try and figure out what they're all about, they will try and audit you. Auditing is what they do to try and help rid people of the spiritual disabilities and increase spiritual abilities. They use an electropsychometer, or an e-meter, which is a religious artifact. I don't know how you can call it a religious artifact when you build it just yesterday.
What happened was I guess, what they do, they tried to trademark it or something so people couldn't use it, or so the government came in, and that's what they put it under that category as a religious artifact.
I thought it was just a turkey wishbone.
Yeah.
It looks
just
like,
hold on to it. Whoever has the bigger end, they have the less Thetans. I don't know.
It looks like a little weight scale or something. It's got
it's got the two little bars that connect to it.
And you just hold these two like silver bars.
And then they ask you questions about your past, and it's supposed to measure your Thetan levels. There are, according to them, 3 basic parts of a man.
You need to...
The mind, body, and Thetan.
I was going to say, you need to explain the Thetans.
Thetan is an immortal spiritual being. So, we're going to go into Xenu now?
You want me to do the basic background?
Xenu's so much fun. It's so much fun, though.
I can do the basic
Hey,
history.
we can talk about Tom Cruise at some point today, too, right?
No, fuck Tom Cruise.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit about Tom Cruise. Everybody knows he's crazy.
I got fucking awesome quotes, though.
Yeah.
That was my research, God damn it!
I really
your
like
research
Top
you
Gun
did 5
growing
seconds
up.
ago?
Cut his mic.
I totally did not do this 5 seconds ago.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, you did it whenever we started the show. Sorry.
Here's the
My bad.
basic history of Scientology
5
from the
minutes.
beginning. And then Boggs will read us Tom Cruise quotes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So 95 million years ago, a galactic federation of planets, which was about 76 of them, from what I had, was ruled over by Lord Xenu. He felt the planets were overpopulated, averaging about 178 billion humans per planet. So he
They actually say humans?
It said humans.
Okay.
Humanoids.
I really didn't read anywhere where it said actual humans. I just heard it referred to people or bodies.
I saw aliens a couple places, and they refer to them as humans a couple other areas. So the human alien.
I don't like the clean number of 95 billion either. Can't they come up with 95 billion 600? I mean, that's a little more.
No, we just had to
believable
round
me.
it up or down.
Look, dude, this is in his own handwriting. I pulled off a thing where it's in Elrond. This is written in his handwriting, and if people want to Google it, you can probably Google where it actually has him saying this stuff. He's explaining it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this isn't. I didn't make this shit up. I got this directly from the man himself.
You mean it's for reals?
It's for reals, bitch. So because there's so much overpopulation and stuff, he rounded up all the people from the planets. They were frozen and loaded onto these galactic cruisers, which Elrond described as being like a DC-8 airplane, only with rocket engines. This is seriously what he said. Then they flew to the planet Tegiak, which is Earth to us. And he dumped the frozen bodies.
Dude, stop laughing, bro.
I can't help it.
He dumped the frozen
Fucking
bodies.
hilarious.
Dude, shut the fuck up. This is really serious stuff here. This is important. He dumped the frozen bodies into the volcanoes of Hawaii. So at least, he picked a nice place to drop them. Then he set off hydrogen bombs on top of each of the volcanoes to kill them.
Yep.
Because I don't think the lava probably did it.
Nope. Wasn't enough.
So this killed the aliens, but it released their spirits or Thetans, or Thetans into the skies, which he knew that the Thetans were going to release into the skies. So he had this gigantic electric ribbon thing. He explained
pretty much like a soul catcher.
Is a soul catcher.
It's a Thetan catcher.
Yeah, it's like an Indian soul catcher.
Because he anticipated the Thetans trying to escape.
So Xenu gathered all the souls, and then he had a facility erected where they implanted the Thetans, and they had them watch these giant projection screens that basically brainwashed them Are you getting all this, Boggs?
Yes, they brainwashed souls.
So they brainwashed the souls with several all he said was tracks and such as OT2, which I'm sure is like when we get into the OT stuff, like the levels and so. I guess it has something to do with that. He didn't really explain it. He said it took about 36 days for each one of them to be basically brainwashed, and then they were set free to roam the earth. Of course, they're all confused and crazy and shit, and so they're flying around the earth now looking for humans to attach themselves to. So now today, all humans have these Thetans within them, and all of our causes of our fears, any disorders, anxieties we have, are all because of these Thetans that reside within us. And just a side note, because everybody wants to know what happened to Zeno afterwards, because he did this horrible act, loyal officers of the Confederation got Zeno. They captured him about 6 years later, says, and put him in an electronic trap and put him on a mountain. I didn't get where the mountain was exactly.
They don't specify. They just say that he was imprisoned on a planet that is a barren desert within a mountain trap. It's an unnamed world. And that was after the Federation rebelled and they fought him for 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years after he
is
pulled
this
this
6
shit.
Are you sure he's not in
years?
Kenya?
Yeah. So he's still there today. So
Is this 6 Earth
so
years or is this 6
we're safe
Federation
from
years?
Xenu for right now.
I don't know, man. Elron just said 6 years.
But he might
He's the
escape.
man.
And I mean, if he escapes, then we're fucked.
Probably.
Xenu's going to come after us.
He sounds like a real douchebag, dropping
I know.
people into
What a
volcanoes
prick.
and blowing them up with hydrogen bombs.
You would think that if they had the technology to get here, they would use something bigger than a hydrogen bomb.
Well, I'm just impressed that they had DC-8s with rocket engines 95 million years ago.
So you have those Thetans,
Excellent.
and they attach
points.
themselves to you, and they make you confused and all that other shit. And that's why nobody really has the answer. So you have to purify through auditing until the practitioner reaches a state of what they call clear. And while a clear's own Thetan is now free of destructive engrams, which is a whole nother fucking thing, his physical form is still inhabited by body Thetans. These are clusters of ancient and executed Thetans. I don't know what the fuck the difference is.
All right.
Yeah.
One was murdered, I guess. Who was executed?
Most Scientologists are not made aware of this fact, and this is actually pretty damn hilarious, because you have to reach a level called OT3, which I take it is kind of hard to get to. So whenever you get past the auditing part, you become OT1, and then after going through and becoming clear and going through end phenomena and operating Thetan and all kinds of other stuff, you become OT2. So once you reach OT3 is when most of the Xenu stories are told to you and made available, which, by the way, you have to pay for all of your auditing and all the information that you receive in the books and everything. They will sell all this shit to you.
Yeah. Besides the auditing, you also have to take training
Yeah.
for different classes.
You gotta pay
They
for that
call-
too.
They call them techs.
Do you know if they have a student discount on this stuff?
I don't know.
You get a card you can take to the movie theater and stuff to get like.
But I go to
50
the local
50 cents
university.
That would be really
but
badass.
if you are lower than an OT3, you are told, and all of them actively avoid any material regarding Xenu, believing it to be dangerous for them to read it. I believe L. Ron Hubbard is actually even quoted as saying that if you read it, you will have vomiting, headaches, possible death if you are not ready, because your Thetan's not ready to hear this stuff.
Yep.
And it'll freak out and kill you. So they actively avoid that material. But and it's really hard to find anything on Xenu from an actual OT3 or above Scientologist, because in their own writing, if they just gave that information out to everybody, it would harm a lot of people, so they can't say it. But they actively pursue people that publish anything about Xenu under copyright infringement. The kicker is that they actually have to prove that they have documentation of Xenu for copyright infringement, but they can't because then that information would be dangerous, so none of the lawsuits ever go through. How fucking sick is that? I'm going to sue you because you have it. Okay, prove it. I can't tell you that because it'll hurt you.
Yeah. Sorry, that information costs.
You can't just take it for, you just can't take my word for it.
Just go ask John Travolta and Tom Cruise about that.
That's so twisted.
I think maybe
that's so fucking awesome, though.
I just had a revelation. Maybe that's why Travolta's such a big pilot. He's trying to learn how to fly. So if he can ever get those rocket boosters, then maybe he can.
Maybe.
He can go free Xeno, and he wants to take over the universe with him.
And just so you know, there are 8 levels. Or actually, no, there's a shitload more levels.
The only thing I saw
because a lot of them are. Most people don't get to these higher levels because they realize by the time they get there that it's a fucktard of stuff, and I should just back out before I start losing everything I own.
See, I think I saw something where it only went to like 7. Like after you hit 3, then you really move up into like there's like special training.
Yeah, 3 is like the
4 through 7. I didn't see anything after that.
There is some stuff, but 3 is like that's the tipping point. I think that's where pretty much most people are like they're either in it or they realize this is ridiculous. I need to get the hell out of here right now. But like let's see, OT7. The graduation level requires $100,000 payment.
Yeah.
So you actually have to pay just to graduate to the next level.
I'm out on that.
That's badass.
So, I mean, people like Tom Cruise, they're probably like really high levels because they can just pay out the wazoo to get higher and higher and higher. It's kind of, is this like WoW or something where you're like, you're power leveling, you pay somebody else to like do everything for you and you're gaining more and more levels?
Really, we go from dungeons and dungeons to WoW, huh? All right.
Disgusting.
You guys.
Well, I guess we can get into some of the negative aspects of Scientology because, after all, it wouldn't be a legit religion without having some kind of disgusting, sinister background.
Yeah.
I'll put the link up on the website, and it's just got a lot of stories, but it's a webpage that's dedicated to people that were born into Scientology and that are no longer in the church, and it just goes through their kind of story. A lot of it had to do with abuse. They send their kids to these, they're essentially like concentration camps, where there are these little communities where they force them to work. They don't properly educate them. They house and feed them, but what the hell is that when you're working all damn day, you hardly get an education, and your parents treat you like shit? And I think that kind of goes against one of their 21 precepts there, that suckered them into this whole religion to begin with.
See, that to me makes it an official religion. Whenever you have contradictory terms.
But more recent headlines is their detox clinics, because Scientologists, because it's all psychological based, and the Thetans is the reason for it. They don't believe in any kind of drugs to help with rehab or any kind of psychological problems. So you're supposed to do it by natural means. So they stick people in saunas for hours every day. They had in Oklahoma, they had 3 people that died because of their practices. And there were reports that they had them in saunas for 5 hours every day for 30 days. And then they were given mega doses of vitamins. I don't know how negative that is to you, but I would assume it's not that great. And what vitamins they're taking, I don't know. And then also another guy, he jumped off the balcony of a clinic after a week of treatment because they refused him anything. They neglected him too. They said he was left unsupervised, and they did not ask if he was having withdrawal symptoms. And they just weaned him off too fast. They're so anti-drug that if you go in there, they give you nothing. They just cut you stone cold straight off. And anybody who's ever been addicted to especially the hardcore drugs, knows that you just cannot do that. There's no such thing as cold turkey. You have to wean very slowly off of that shit. Otherwise, you're just going to go absolutely insane. Yeah, so he suffered multiple fractures after throwing himself off the 3rd floor at the center. And then there have been up to 5 deaths that have been linked to Scientology rehab clinics since 2005. So yeah, great people taking care of others and stuff, right?
Whoops.
Wait, lay out on him. Don't say anything.
Oh my God, this shit again. I'll just fucking end the show right now if that's the way it's going to be.
Don't do that. Don't.
Yeah,
Don't.
that's what I thought. Assholes.
It's too great. Let's not do that. Actually, I've got some other stuff I wanted to go back and hit on.
Go for it.
Some fun stuff.
Oh, you want to go
on
into Excalibur?
I wanted to talk about that and then his little...
Dealings with the occult?
I was going to say, putting his toes into the occult.
You
We were
guys wanna
talking about
hear-
him making money before he even did Dianetics. I think this is where he finally figured out, like...
There's actually there's a movie coming out that I don't think it's I don't think that they're trying to say that they're like it's a thing on L. Ron Hubbard, but
John
it pretty much
Travolta's
is.
Not in it. It's not Battleship Earth
Oh,
2,
what is
it
it called? I think it's called like The Master. I'll have to look it up real quick. Go ahead.
We should have all sat and watched Battleship Earth before we did this.
That would have been research.
for research.
Fuck that, dude.
But no, in 38, I mean, this is, about 15 years before he did Dianetics or thereabouts. He wrote a book called Excalibur that I guess he decided was the greatest piece of literature ever, and it was what's really going to make a name for him. And Hubbard told his literary agent at the time that whoever read it would either go insane or commit suicide, and that the last time he had shown it to a publisher in New York, he walked in the office to find out what his reaction was, and the publisher called for the reader. The reader came in to check out the manuscript, threw it on the table, and then threw himself out the window of the skyscraper.
Jeez.
It's like, that's not a way to promote a book.
No, not
You know
at
what
all.
But he couldn't get anybody to take on this book, I guess because, they kept throwing themselves out of fucking windows. So he couldn't get anybody to publish it. So he went into the state of depression. And then this is what he ended up writing this in a letter to his wife at the time. It said, writing action pulp doesn't have much agreement with what I have to do, because in regards to my progress by demanding incessant attention and further actuality weakens my name. God, I hate the way he writes. So you see, I've got to do something about it, and at the same time strengthen the old financial position. So I think he realized then that his writing wasn't really going to get anywhere. So that's where I think he started coming to the conclusion that, hey, I got to do something to make some money.
I got a question about this. If this book would kill people, why didn't Xenu just have him write this and show it to everybody to cure the overpopulation 95 billion years ago?
Well, you got to remember. Well, that's the
Well,
thing.
see, it's not a spiritual thing. This is just, or it's not a like psychic link or anything
Well,
that
if
he has with him.
overpopulation's the problem, that seems like the easier solve than anything else. Just
I don't think
just
he was
publish
writing
the
it
book.
to kill people. Dude. I'm just saying he was saying that this book was so fucking great and insane that it just made people couldn't comprehend it. I think is what he was getting at.
Yeah, it was too much. Their Thetan couldn't handle it, and it would shove people out of windows.
And I've read a bunch of his quotes.
Dead is dead.
That is
And I read a bunch of his quotes and stuff, and the
no
way
matter
he
how you
writes
go about it.
it makes me insane too. So I believe it. But the fun thing is that manuscript for that book is like it's a big thing within Scientology. And back in the 50s, Scientology, they offered signed gold-bound and locked copies of it that they're selling for $1,500 each.
Ooh.
And
Damn.
they warned that 4 of the first 15 people who read it had went insane, and that it would only be released if they signed a sworn statement not to permit any other readers to read it. And they said it contained data that wasn't allowed to be released during Mr. Hubbard's stay on the Earth. So,
This is like an Elder Scroll.
yeah, it's the Elder Scroll of L. Ron Hubbard. But with the God thing, you mentioned a second ago. With that, Scientologists actually they don't consider a belief in God or gods or they believe it as something like it's a personal thing. Like they don't. That's where to me I don't even get the whole religious aspect of it, is how they can claim to be a religion, because they don't really believe in a God or like Jesus or someone in particular. They believe that everybody has their own beliefs, and that's just a personal feeling.
Well, really, that itself goes against their own doctrine, because apparently the Thetans that are attached to us, they're brainwashed and they're confused, and that's why we're confused. And people are confused because of things like religion. So shouldn't that in itself be anti-religion?
Don't try and put common sense and logic into my argument.
I'm just saying.
I'm just telling you what the fuck I read.
Just saying.
As far as the occult thing goes, and this was right before he started the religion too, I guess at this time in his life, he was having marital issues, and his, I guess, wife and kids lived up in Washington, and he moved down to California to kind of restart his life, and he hooked up with this dude, Jack Parsons, who was an extremely wealthy guy, and he took a liking to L. Ron and brought him in and stuff. The thing with Jack Parsons is he was an occultist, and he followed Aleister Crowley, which if nobody knows anything about Aleister Crowley, you can just look it up. He was, I think, pretty much known as kind of a Satanist, wasn't he? I mean, dark magic and everything like that. He was into that. I don't know, maybe Satanist isn't the way to put it. I did a little research on that.
I mean, that's what he'd be coined, but that's not real Satanism.
But he was in charge of an order called the Ordo Tempi Orientius. And so Ron got involved with him, and they collaborated on this thing called Babylon, which is a sexual magical ritual intended to summon the incarnation of Babylon, the mother of abominations.
Nice.
Yeah, so we worked on this, and I guess it didn't really work out for him so much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it didn't really work. So they decided that what they needed to do was they needed to increase their knowledge base. So using mostly Jack Parsons' money. Oh, yeah, the little thing I forgot. Ron basically started banging Jack's girlfriend, but Ron liked him so much that, or Jack liked Ron so much he didn't mind it. So then they kind of hooked up. So all three of them went in cahoots together, and they started this thing called Allied Enterprises, which they were going to buy a ship, and then sell around the world collecting materials and stuff. And of course, Parsons funded the whole thing, and he let Aleister Crowley kind of know what their game plan was. And Crowley wrote back to him, saying that, suspect Ron playing confidence tricks Jack, you weak fool. Obvious victim prowling swindlers is what they are. So Aleister told him, he's like, look, dude, he's a con man. He's taking your fucking money. Lay off him. And of course, finally, I think he came to his senses and stuff. So they had a big court battle and stuff where Parsons ended up losing pretty much all of his money. L. Ron and that Sarah bitch got a lot of it. And then they moved on their merry way and stuff. And I think he used a lot of the funding to go ahead and kind of start, what he had learned from the cultists and stuff, and that funding to kind of get his foot in the door as starting this religious aspect. But it's funny because it says the Scientology accounts do mention Hubbard's involvement in occultism. This is how they spin it. But instead, he is described as continuing to write to help support his research during that period, the development of a means to better the condition of man. The Church of Scientology is nonetheless acknowledged Hubbard's involvement within the cult. A 1969 statement written by Hubbard himself. So this is Hubbard saying this, but this is what Scientology puts out. It's always nice when you go back and rewrite history for yourself.
Right? Yeah. It's pretty easy.
Hubbard broke up black magic in America. This is what he said. He wrote this. Hubbard broke up black magic in America. L. Ron Hubbard was still an officer in the U.S. Navy because he was well known as a writer and philosopher and had friends amongst the physicists. He was then sent to handle the situation. He went to live in a house and investigated the black magic rites and the general situation and found them very bad. Hubbard's mission was successful, far beyond anyone's expectations. The house was torn down. Hubbard rescued a girl they were using. The black magic group was dispelled and destroyed, never recovered. So he rescued that girl, Sarah. And tore down their little cult and stuff. And
what an egotistical bastard!
They didn't even mention the 2 kittens he saved too.
And this is a side note, just to throw in, because I saw this and liked it. He ended up marrying that girl Sarah, but he was still married to his former wife Polly at the time.
Ouch!
And of course, she didn't find out till a year later. So she basically, instead of getting his ass thrown in jail, she just made a deal with him where she got custody of the children, so they could get their divorce. And
so pretty much what you're saying is he's a con man.
Yeah, bigamist, con man. So. And he has a very bloated ego.
Just so you know,
well, most con men kind of do.
I found a podcast that we can listen to after we get drunk tonight about.
Oh, here we go.
Let me see. It's OTO, the little group you're talking about. It's called Thelema Now, and I'll just want to read the description of the podcast because it's awesome. Thelema Now's guest is Jason Miller of Strategic Sorcery. Jason discusses using magic and planning to create wealth and stability instead of waiting until there is an emergency to call upon the spirits. His new book is Financial Sorcery, Magical Strategies to Create Real and Lasting Wealth, and it mixes the solid common sense advice with magical practice.
All right.
This is fucking awesome. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of this?
That
Holy
movie I was
fuck.
talking about, by the way, is called The Master.
The master.
And they're not touting it like as a based off of L. Ron Hubbard, but that's pretty much what it is. It's about a young guy who gets swindled by this old charismatic guy after coming back from he was a naval veteran, and how they kind of start their own religion and stuff, and how he steals all of his money.
That last part's kind of important.
But yeah, there's you can go online and there's thousands and thousands of people that quit the church because they gave all their money away. I know there was a guy in Norway. He jumped off the roof of his building, and
He must have read the Excalibur.
he had still in his hand whenever they like pried him off of the car that he fell onto. He still had I think it was like $21 in his hand, and they come to find out that was all the money he had left. Scientology had taken everything else.
Well, that's not the kind of money that's going to get you to OT3 level.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's like, fuck, I can't get to the next level. I'll just kill myself. Get rid of these Thetans.
Well, you know, he could have gone and beat up some bad guys and just taken their money and used that. It's okay.
There's tons of wealthy people who are bad.
Man, this...
Nah. They're the job creators of the good people of our society.
So, yes, Scientology is a whack job. It is a complete cult. It is a fraud. But it's no different than any other religion.
Except it's not really a religion. I mean, I really couldn't conclude that's a religion from the stuff I read. I mean, they really, like I said, even with their whole theory on
they believe in immortal souls and all this other stuff. To me, that's a religion.
It's very theology. Hey, Eric, would you say that you don't like Scientology?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay, well, you want to hear what Tom Cruise says to you?
Oh my God.
What does Tom Cruise say to me about me not liking?
Some people. This is a quote off of a website called Tom Cruise's.
So some people, me,
some
meaning
people,
me.
Eric. Well, if they don't like Scientology,
Maybe I'm an egomaniac.
Well, then fuck you. Really, fuck you. Period. That's his quote.
All right.
Is that what he says?
Yeah, it's awesome.
I didn't get all that. Can you read that again?
I'll just get to the good part. Fuck you.
Oh my goodness. Tom Cruise.
Now,
That's not the
this
way
is-
to
this
bring
is-
people in.
There is a disclaimer to this site, just so everybody knows. It says, our use of the term nuts is meant as defined in Webster's as a reference to an eccentric person. That's all. We do not mean in any way to denigrate or belittle anyone with mental illness.
Well,
In
they
fact-
know, they're just afraid he'll sue them. Like he's
I was
done
about to say.
people. That's
In
why
fact-
they put that.
Well, maybe. In fact, we take mental illness very seriously, which is why Mr. Cruz's ill-informed rant inspired us to create this website. We don't have anything personally against Mr. Cruz either. We think he's a first-class actor and a humanitarian. We did used to worry that he was a misguided zealot, but that's all. Now we think he's a dangerous misguided zealot.
Oh, wow.
That's in their disclaimer. So
Yes,
Oh
I would
my.
agree with that.
yeah, there's all sorts of shit on him on this one, but most of it is, some of it's kind of positive. I wouldn't be here today where I am without it. And this is talking about Scientology. And it is things that I apply to my life to help me improve my conditions, that actually help me to be able
Like
to
being
think
divorced
for
3
myself.
times.
Think for myself, that's the first one. To be able to make the decisions. The decisions. I use it and I apply it, and when you talk about things, those are lies. Hold on a second. When you talk about things, those are lies. And really, when you get down to it, you know there are bigots. There are people that just want to hate, period. No matter what. Right? Why did they include right in that?
I'm not
Well,
a hater.
I'm sorry, but that's a hollow argument that's used for every religion, is that it helps benefit people's lives. I mean, honestly, you don't think that if we didn't have any religion, nobody's lives would have any kind of benefit? Bullshit.
Hey man, look
People
at
can
Africa.
find benefit in everything. You don't need a god or some religion or somebody else telling you how to live in order to have a beneficial life. You don't need all that shit. it pisses me off because that lays the foundation for the absolute nut jobs that go wild with this stuff and wind up harming people or killing them or genocide or whatever it may be. I'm sorry, but that's the ultimatum of all religion is death and destruction. All of it.
You know, I don't think they would allow you in because according to Scientologists, people who leave the church and talk the way you're talking about the church right now are considered suppressive persons. So you are definitely a fucking suppressive person.
That's why I don't belong to any religion,
Depressive and
creed,
suppressive.
doctrine,
I will say,
dogma,
though,
whatever it may be.
At the very least, Scientologists don't think you're going to hell. So
That is true. They don't believe I'm going to hell.
Now, what will happen then? You
That
die,
is
your-
a step in the right direction.
Your Thetan souls.
They're no longer giving me threats.
How's that work? Your Thetan souls leave your body and just go attach to somebody else, so they have to fucking deal with them.
I don't know if Scientology ever like dives into what happens to you if you die.
All right, any
with the
Scientologists
negative Thetans
listening,
on you.
make sure you email us and let us know what the fuck happens after that, because I didn't find
I'm pretty
that.
sure they don't list that at all because I mean,
you're just not high enough level, guys.
So Tom Cruise,
oh
if you're
yeah,
listening.
I need to be OT12
Maybe.
to learn that shit.
One thing I like to do is, you know, they have their highest organization that kind of runs everything is that Sea Org. Did you read anything on that?
The what?
The Sea Org. It's their biggest. It's like the highest level people. They all work, and
Oh,
these are
yeah,
the people
yeah.
who run the organization. I
I didn't really write a whole lot. I didn't write down a whole lot about them, but yeah, I read up on it.
Yeah, I'm just throwing out fun facts here at the end. They run the fucking thing, and it's fun because to become a member of the Sea Org, I mean, you're the top of the pyramid within Scientology. You can't have any children or family, and if you do, then you have to get the hell out. And they also have to sign billion-year contracts because, you know, your life, you
Yeah.
keep living on and on. So you have to sign a contract for 1 billion years. I just like that. I
Wow.
thought that was pretty cool.
Why 1 billion?
I don't know. I mean,
If
Maybe
you're
they're
going
like-
that far, you might as well make it
probably
like,
like, you know, football
2
or
billion.
something. Like they'll sign a guy up for 6 or 7 years because you don't want to get them past their prime, right? Because then you're stuck with a fucking old geezer.
once a Thetan gets
God
past
damn,
1 billion,
man.
it's worthless.
Oh, fucking running backs after they hit 30, they're no good anymore. So I figure 1 billion
Pretty
years
true.
in, it's time for you to go.
Change of scene, maybe.
Sting.
Change your scene. You get tired of it after 1 billion years.
You're like,
Like,
know what, man?
you know
It's
what?
not
We need
working
some
out
new
anymore."
guys. We need some new guys. This is getting stale.
So anyway, L. Ron Hubbard, great American.
Right? War hero.
Oh, and also he
Very
was
knowledgeable person. I mean, he was a practicing,
he was a
Physicist.
nuclear physicist.
nuclear physicist.
Oh,
and
also-
he also was a, licensed physician.
He was a member of the Blackfoot tribe. I can't even remember what the hell it said.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
also
he did the blood brother ritual or whatever with
he was the
the people that didn't even have that ritual.
He was the youngest Eagle Scout in American history, according to him. Don't forget that as well. All around awesome.
He didn't create it, but he came up with the idea of the internet.
Yeah, I think he might have done that too.
And it was actually just Thetans talking to each other from a distance.
That's what it was. So anyway, I think we've proven that he was awesome, and Scientology is the way to go. So save up your money and start studying some tech.
So now I guess it's decision-making time?
Well, I think
I kind of, planted my idea right there at the end where I'm not subscribing to jack shit.
You have to pick something.
No. Not going to do it.
We agreed at the beginning of the show we were going to pick something.
yeah, we're all gonna slit our hands open and do
I can't
blood
do it. I'm
pact
not-
and
I'm not crazy.
want to go fucking.
I
join
don't
up.
need that kind of stuff in my life. I don't
should
have
have-
that want.
We should just have a religion that just promotes
There we go.
masturbation.
Eric broke his promise.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But I don't have a desire to become involved in any of that stuff.
Would you join a religion that said just masturbate all the time?
Yes. Give me that religion. I'm there.
That's actually like
Done.
the pinnacle of religion. If you
Can I
like
start right
masturbate
now?
Twice a day.
I think we learned
That's
that.
I know I did it
exactly
last
what it
show, but
is.
can I start right now?
I think we learned with Mormonism we can
I'm
do
going
that
to start my worship.
as long as you just
Get ready
go tell
for
your
it.
bishop.
It's coming.
You can
It's
masturbate all you
coming.
want.
Oh.
All right. So we're gonna wrap this son of a bitch up.
I guess we should. I mean, we've kind of gone over everything and taken a giant dump on it.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think we've had enough.
We
fun
couldn't even get
with-
through the doctrine without laughing at it. That's the funny thing.
I think we had enough fun with
Holy
Elron and
fuck.
Zeno.
Anything to add? Dusty, Aubrey.
Hey, Kristen, you want to say at least one fucking thing in the mic since we set up your mic for you? No? Not
She's
anything?
never going to say
No.
anything.
Shit.
She doesn't want to be a part of this.
I just want to say on air that she has said behind the scenes, yeah, I'll talk at least once, or maybe I'll just throw in a little bit, and then every time we get in, fuck that shit. I'm really fucking bored. This is stupid.
I have
you
to
guys.
say, I got some negative results on the opening theme, so she's definitely going to have to do a song for us and sing for us because we got to change that. And I heard that we were cussing too much, so I tried to cut back today. So for the few people that told me that,
Fuck that.
fuck you. But we did try. I think we did a good job.
We cuss too much? Are you serious?
Hey man, we gotta get the information out there so the
All right.
The old people can hear it,
let's
so.
just get this out of the way because I know Boggs has the same mentality that I do when it comes to words.
I don't give a shit.
Well, it's not necessarily that, but it's that a lot of people that don't like cursing, they don't like it because it holds some kind of negative connotation, and they think that the word itself is what's negative.
Yeah.
They don't realize that it doesn't matter how you spin it, how you say it. It's the meaning behind the word. So if you say shoot or shucks or baloney or whatever the hell you want to say, it's the same shit, fuck, crap, whatever it may be.
That's like saying
Same thing.
the N-word.
It's the meaning behind the word that matters,
So
not the
everybody-
word itself.
So everybody who doesn't like cursing, get ready for the barrage of curse words coming at you from the next episode.
Next
Oh yeah,
episode
I'm
is
gonna
15
lay it on
minutes.
so fucking thick. It's gonna be ridiculous.
Well,
So
before we
that's-
do that, before we drive everybody away, I do.
I'm
wanna
just kidding. I'm
throw
probably
out-
just gonna talk like I normally do.
I want to throw out reminders again that we need to be liked because we need to feel the love. So, like the Facebook page, it's under our name, Intellectual Saviors, and also on Twitter, the Intel Saviors at the Intel Saviors. Go ahead. I think we're up to about 250 followers now.
Something like
Damn.
So we're
that.
getting there.
Yeah,
slowly
our
but surely.
egos are not quite inflated as they should be. So
No, we don't want you to ask
we are
just
badasses, and we need to feel like we're badasses.
Yeah, we don't want you to ask just so we feel better about ourselves because I could give less than two shits. But it's more so you guys can respond to us and send us some fucking comments or suggestions. Like, you guys need to really fucking do something about that opening theme. Or
That was good, yeah.
Or something else.
And no nudie pics either. We haven't seen
That's
any
another
nudie
thing as
pics.
well. The fucking email account's up. What's
We're
it?
waiting.
intelsaviors@gmail.com.
Yep.
Go ahead and, females, do your job, man. We need some nude photos. Not for me,
Dude,
for
we're
Eric,
probably gonna
for-
get a whole bunch of penises. Probably.
If you send,
Dude,
yeah.
why did you give that idea out?
Good job.
God damn it.
Good job.
You fucking douche.
And
We're
they'll
all
even
gonna
like
get
make a.
penises.
Oh no, I'm not gonna get my ideas.
Any dick
Thank
pics
you.
will forward on to Kristen, so she could check them out, and then she'll rank them, and then she'll
Yes,
she'll
we
get
got to
on-
do this. We'll have Kristen on air ranking penises.
There we go.
So make sure they're
That'll
hard,
be
gentlemen.
the only time she's ever on air.
So they give her something to do for a change. So
All right, everybody say bye.
Later on.
peace out, bitches.